Good day, everybody. Rob here, WesternPacificWeather.com. A very active day out there in the Western Pacific, very active weather pattern. Several areas we are watching right now here on the 22nd of October 2010, currently going on 1000 Hong Kong time, 1100 Japan Standard Time. That's a rate around 02 Zulu for the rest of you worldwide here. And right now, though, we are watching Megi moving northeast, right about 4 knots right now. Gradually seeing a weakening out of this system right now as it's starting to encounter some wind shear up here to the north associated with this stationary front. Dive a little more into that here again in a minute. Also, we have two areas out here that we are watching. These tropical depression 16 and 17. 17 really surprised they warned on this. As you can see, it looks very extratropical right now. A lot of dry air inflow into the system, but there is that low-level circulation there with some towering cumulus and some CBs embedded inside the storm. So did right on the edge of warning for a warning here, but just a very weak system. We'll move a little bit into that later. And also we have 16 whiskey here. This is the one we actually need to watch right now. Right now, very disorganized, seeing about 30 to 40 knots of wind shear on the northern periphery. Also a little surprised at development out of this, but several of the models are actually all picking up on this developing and moving off to the west right now. We'll also move a little into more on that here in a moment as well. But right here, though, the big topic is Megi. He's moving north-northeast into the Taiwan Strait today, expecting us to finally make a little jog towards the northwest here later on today into tomorrow morning, making landfall here in southeast China. So, but the good news is that this is going to actually gradually start to weaken. As you can start to see on the northern periphery, the outflow and inflow in this system is really getting sheared up, and the only max convection is actually right around the eye wall right in here. Otherwise, these outer rain bands are really starting to get disrupted. You still have a few blow-ups out here. This area right here actually associated with the long monsoonal trough, and also some blow-ups up here associated with the upper level stationary front up here to the northeast. So and still some rain bands actually making landfall farther south here in Manila, so still not getting much of a breakdown in that region, especially up in northern Luzon, as this system continues to linger, pummeling the area with some embedded rain showers and thunderstorms. But right now, though, the actual center of circulation with this system has weakened drastically. Right now, seeing right about 90 knots with gusts up to 110 knots. And actually, on this JTWC warning here, seeing a gradual decrease in the winds. Actually going all the way down to in the morning of the 23rd, you're actually going to see winds right around 55, gusting up to 70 knots. So a possible weak typhoon at landfall, but the minute it makes landfall, this is going to drastically decrease. Now, the big effect out of this system, as already noted, is going to be the rainfall. The winds and this lack of storm surge at this time, it's really not going to be too much of a storm surge, several feet at max, but the rain is definitely going to be the biggest problem. Some flash flooding throughout this entire region, which has some very populated areas along the coast here shown on this near IR imagery. So just still that potential for some flash flooding out in here. And as we all know, southeast China definitely can't take any more flooding. It's been very disrupted the last several months with these strong monsoonal rains that have been happening up in this region. From what I do gather on news agencies, though, they have taken this storm very seriously, evacuating upwards of 500,000 people out of this entire area here. But with this drastic weakness in storm, it definitely looks like the loss of life should be rather low. But I'm very happy that that CMA and China up in here took this storm exceptionally seriously. As I already noted, the rainfall is going to be the biggest problem. I already shown some extensive rain bands extending clear out towards Hong Kong out of the systems, just clipping the eastward end of Hong Kong here as well. So I'm sure they'll start to see some effects out of this system as well. The good news, though, is that it's going to be passing to the right of Hong Kong, so you're actually going to get windfall off the coast here, so that actually should decrease the amount of wave activity inside the bay there. Now, moving back to the Philippines here, this video shot here by TyphoonFairy.com. I also want to note that there's still only reports of about 19 deaths here in the Philippines, but several towns actually very obliterated and destroyed. The town of Palawan, Davilican, and the Isabela province. I'm sorry if I pronounced those wrong. My wife always gives me crap. She says my Philippine accent is absolutely horrid. So, but just want to note that those sounds were basically, looks like they've been hit by an F5 tornado out there. It's absolutely flattened from the storm surge, and that's one thing to note that storm surge is going to have an effect on. I have a link up near the top of this page here that shows that links to a TV Patrol, which actually has some footage from the air there showing this mass amount of storm surge that affected that region right there. So very sad bad situation out there. But the good news is right now, still looks like the death toll is pretty low. So it looks like the Philippine government actually got everybody out of harm's way, which would be very good, as we all know, we all knew where the storm was going to head several days ahead of time. So plenty of time to actually get out of the way. But still, some people there that didn't really have the means of leaving in the first place. So it looks like it still has the potential to become an even more grave and sad story, especially with these pictures I've been seeing of the mass amount of damage in those towns in the Philippines. Now moving out to the rest of the Western Pacific here, as I already know, we have these two areas, 16 whiskey and 17 whiskey, both tropical depressions right now. Moving off to the the west-northwest here is 16 whiskey. Now let's actually zoom in on the track here put out by GTW. Now the storm is very disorganized at this moment, but several of the models, including GFS, is actually picking up on this system. I'll show you those models here in a second, but right now it looks like a gradual increase in the intensity of the system, eventually making it the possible tropical storm strength here over the next 2 to 3 days. But showing GFS actually picks up on developing this system, but taking it more on a northeasterly course here on the 25th at 18Z. It shows it right in this region here with a lot of convection around it. No gaps actually is taking it farther to the and making it much deeper, shown here. At the same time, 25-18Z actually having a very strong and low system out of this rate in this region. But as we noted in the last last storm over here with Megi, no gaps really was the most promising model. So I really would actually rather lean towards GFS. And looking at the current streamline analysis, I'd rather go with the track with GFS here, showing the overall background flow actually taking this farther to the north, and then eventually it would get picked up in this troughing of low pressure and this positive vorticity rate in this region and end up recurving out this way. But right now, though, there's actually depends on two factors. If this storm starts to blow up and gets more organized, it's going to get caught up with some of these upper level winds and definitely to recurve to the north and off to the northeast. But right now, it's very disorganized, and exceptionally the northerly outflow on the system is not there. So if it stays weak and it's in this low level steering flow, it actually start to drift towards the west and actually towards the Philippines and Taiwan here. But the good news, though, is that if that happens, it will be staying weak, possibly as a tropical depression and a weak tropical storm. And that's why JTW has this very wide cone of air on this system, clear up from near Okinawa all the way down to possibly even as far south as Palau out of this system. So a very wide cone of air, not exactly sure what's going to happen with this. And actually that happens when you have a system that is so disorganized as this one, as shown here on this IR imagery. But ASCAT imagery actually does pick up a low level circulation, so actually seeing winds above 25 knots out of the system with that low level circulation, which indicates that you do have a tropical depression here. But right now it looks like it doesn't have too much in for it for some really significant development, but there is a lot of convection within it. So just something we need to watch over the next 24 to 48 hours. I don't want to go as far as saying that the Philippines is in the clear, but definitely need to keep an eye closely on this storm. It looks like it should recurve to the north, eventually to the northeast here, but just once again, something we need to monitor. We can still get about 48 hours before you really get a good clear picture on where this thing's going to be headed. And farther off to the northeast, though, definitely have a very clear picture on this one. A lot of dry air inflow going into the system. It's very weak, very disorganized. Looks more like an upper level low than a low level circulation out of it. But ASCAT imagery also shows some low level circulation on it. But right now, though, very far north, above 20 north right in here. So already getting the cooler temperatures right in this region. And this is confirmed by JTWC track, just showing a very north and northeasterly track, never making it above, just barely making it to tropical storm strength, but it's not even really making it above 34 knot threshold, just some gusting out there. So very weak system, and is going to remain well out to sea. So just something that we can watch from land. These are the ones I would prefer to watch from land, is these ones right in here, but just a very weak system. It shouldn't be affecting anybody. And really quick, moving out to the IO here, we also have Cyclone Giri making landfall in Burma later today into tomorrow morning. Looks like it's actually weakened a lot, but still going to see some massive amount of rainfalls throughout that entire region. And this area is very, especially the river delta right in here, very low lying and definitely cannot take too much rainfall. But that is all for today. But if you have any further questions, please field them to me at westpacificweather.com. You can also find me at stormtook.org. If I'm not around, there's a lot of people there that can answer your meteorological questions there as well. So just continue to stay safe out there, continuing to watch this storm. Megi moving to the north here along the southeast China coast. So please stay safe in that entire region from Taiwan out to Hong Kong. So I'll likely have another update again this evening. And once again, thank you for listening to pacificweather.com. Bye.